celebrating 16 years of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Baffin Harper.
Welcome to Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill. I'm excited this week. We get to do something pretty special here. We tell great stories about great people whose lives put a spotlight on possibility. They show you that anything is possible. My guest today is Baffin Harper. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I want to start here because I didn't know this about you. I'm going to say one word and you say whatever comes out of you when I say it.
Okay.
Vietnam.
Hell. For me, anyway.
Tell me about your experience in Vietnam.
Well, my experience in Vietnam was, I was a combat infantryman, and they call us the ground pounders. Pretty much, you're on the ground, you're carrying your M16, pretty much like search and destroy missions. You're going out seeking the Viet Cong. I guess the biggest thing I have about that is that when I transitioned out from Vietnam, it's like I left on Monday, I was back home on Wednesday without no debriefing. And from that period, that's kind of haunted me for a long, long time, to be honest with you. It's, they call it PTSD.
Do you have that?
I have PTSD.
How do you manage it and how does it manifest?
I didn't know how to manage it, Hal. I didn't know how to manage it. Like I said, I come out around about 21 years old. Didn't know how to manage it. Didn't have no debriefing. I just started getting help with that 2017, 50 years later.
Wow.
It stayed suppressed for that long.
Would you have dreams, nightmares?
Dreams, nightmares, still have those occasionally. Dreams and nightmares, thinking you were still back there. And how you dealt with just life and family, you realize now why some of the things you did and said back then was connected with that PTSD.
You were trying to manage that,
yeah.
And it's managing you because you don't have the tools if you don't have
no tools,
yeah.
No tools whatsoever. Didn't know. I guess I didn't even know I had it. You know, I know what I was going through, but I didn't know what it was. And how you would hear about it, I would say it's older years after some of the Iraq incidents, you hear about PTSD, but I still didn't connect that to me. And then went to the VA, got to talking to some people to help, and so in 2017, I started getting some help with that, and it's helping me, but it's not going away yet. But I'm so thankful to get the help.
You know what's interesting is that is a subtext for your life, right?
Right.
21, 50 years later, if that's kind of bubbling underneath, it makes it even more incredible what God has done in your life, mm-hmm. because you've built a pretty incredible life, yeah. And family. Yeah. And I guess that's why family, yeah. means so much to you.
Oh yes, family is God first, family second. And that's exactly the way I like to look at it.
Where were you born?
Born in Knoxville, Tennessee, old Knoxville General Hospital, where the health department is today. You know, born to parents of Velma and Horace Harper.
What kind of folks were they?
Mother was great, and Dad was great too, but they divorced early. I may have been 5, 6 years old. They divorced. And at that time, I really didn't know why. So I'm the oldest of 7 siblings, so I was the oldest child at that particular time, but I didn't find out till later on, not to say it was an excuse for the divorce, but my father told me when he had a heart attack. And I went to see him out to the hospital, and we was talking, and he just kind of, maybe he was trying to justify why the departure happened, but he just told me that my mother had an aunt who he said highly influenced her a lot, you know. And I just kind of read between the lines, so to speak, you know. But never heard my father say anything negative toward my mother. Never heard my mother tell me anything negative toward my father. They never talked against one another, never did, even though all those years that, you know, they were apart. But he was always there for me. Matter of fact, he had told me when I graduated from high school, he said, well, if you want to go on to college, you know, I'm gonna do all I can to help you. And I thought, well, I don't know, Dad, I might go into the military. And then I backed out the military because the Vietnam War was kicking up. But anyway, I got drafted a year later.
You got drafted and you ended up there anyway.
Yeah, you know, so I was kind of optimistic about it somewhat, I have to admit, but once you go through a period of war, to me, that just took it away from me. So things happen in there that you'll never want to happen again.
Yeah, you can never unlive those moments.
You can't unlive those moments. And,
when we take a break, when we come back, I want to talk about your life, where you went to school, where you grew up, but I want to talk about family.
Okay.
Because the people that know you and love you, one of the things that they say shines as a possibility in your life is, even though you've been through what you've been through, there's still the possibility for great love and great family.
Right.
And we want to talk about that.
Okay.
This is Baffin Harper. You're watching Anything is Possible. More in a moment.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
Dad wasn't really there going through school, you know. When I would be out playing sports or just out, and guys would say, well, my dad's gonna come get me, or I'm going with my dad. Well, I couldn't connect with that.
Welcome back to Anything is Possible. A powerful story of possibility today with Baffin Harper. Thank you for being here today. I was talking to the barber, Gam, and he said, man, Mr. Harper looks younger every time I see him. He said he had to take a double take because he said, who's that young guy? How old are you?
70 years old.
You don't look anywhere near 70. I'm glad you're here today.
Yeah.
Growing up in Knoxville, where'd you go to school? What was your life like?
Well, went to Green Elementary School, went to Vine Junior Middle School, and graduated from Austin High School.
Athlete?
Athlete, no. On the athletes, I played some basketball, but it was more intramural, not really, I call it school regulated, so to speak. We played a lot of rec ball, and was on teams that doing rec ball, and you know, having a pretty good time with that, you know. But so basketball was my favorite, not necessarily my sport, but I did enjoy it. Would have played football, but being a single parent, I took those papers home to my mother. I said, Mom, they want me to sign up for football. Will you sign this paper? And she just ripped them up, threw them away. That was the end of that football career. Anyway.
My father was the oldest of 7, and he had to step into the gap.
Yeah.
He was helping to raise his brothers and sisters. Yeah. Did you have a similar experience?
Yeah, I had to raise my younger brothers and siblings. You know, when my wife and I were married, I told her I done changed way more diapers than she had. But back then, those days, you know, there wasn't no Pampers. You had the
cloth diapers with the safety
them,
pins, yeah.
But family was always pretty close, brothers and sister-wise, you know. And then after I got married, my wife of 48 years, Octavia, and her family was close. One thing I think her family and my family had in common was that we always was taking somebody in from outside. It might have been a friend of yours whose parents, maybe they had a disagreement, Mom would take them in, and they would stay all night, go back home maybe on a Monday or Sunday like that. And Octavia's family done the same thing, so believe it or not, we wound up adopting 7 kids.
You wound up adopting 7 kids?
7 kids.
How did that happen?
Well, I was working at the Oak Ridge area at that time, and my wife told me, said, I want to do foster parenting. I said, well, okay, we'll try foster parenting. So we started foster parenting, and which turned out to be the organization, the foster parents says, we weren't good foster parents because we was wanting to adopt, you know. You're supposed to foster the parent.
And then keep moving.
Yeah, and we wound up adopting 7. And I have to admit, it's a gift that she has with children, but we adopted 7 kids, and it have to mean you're changing somebody's life. You're letting them know, like you said, anything's possible, even with them, you know. You're raising them, giving them a good foundation, a Christian foundation, establishing good morals, and when they graduate from high school, it's something inside of you that you feel like, I hope I've given them a good life to get a good start. Mm-hmm. And some have been on to college, and some chosen not to, but 7 kids, I'm telling you. I remember when we had 5. I don't think Octavia and I realized what we really was getting into. Even though doing your courses and going through the classes, they try to tell you, says, now they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that, and I say, okay. It was a whole year before we could even go out to eat. We had 5 at that time. So it was a year. So after about a year, we says, let's go. So the first place we went to eat was the Litton's. Went out to the Litton's restaurant. And we was Octavia, myself, and 5 adopted kids. And we lasted about an hour before they began to get rambunctious, you know, because they were young ages. They were like 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, so. But it was a whole year, and we didn't realize till the end that our life was kind of on hold for her and I together. It was just on hold for a minute because that's where we was committed and devoted to.
You were investing yourself.
Yeah, investing ourselves in them.
How did giving yourself in that way transform you and your wife?
In a way, it brought us closer. Because even though you're kind of giving yourself away to somebody else, it brings you closer because you have those conversations, and because it's a team effort. Can you imagine picking up after school, taking to school, the discipline that you have to put in place to correct them, and so that was a real challenge. And as today, right now, we still have 2 with us today. The youngest 2, the 12 and the 13-year-old, they're still with us, and we still get up 6 a.m. in the morning, get ready to go to school. Some people say, well, it's 70, but it's still enjoyable because you're changing somebody's life. You're committed to them to give them some kind of start for success, you know.
Why did that become so important to you?
Well, I think it became important to me because, as I mentioned, the divorce with my mom and dad.
Yeah.
Dad wasn't really there going through school, you know, it was mom. He would the occasional weekend type visits if I needed something, but when I would be out playing sports or just out, and guys would say, well, my dad's gonna come get me, or I'm going with my dad. Well, I couldn't connect with that. Wow. I couldn't, you know, identify with that. So I made a promise to myself that I will always be there for my children because I didn't want them to go through that experience. And that made me committed to them, and as well as committed to the adopted kids that, you know. I feel like people need that father figure, and maybe it's through marriage, or maybe it's just a friend down the street, but you need that person, or at least a male anyway, that father to say, I'm here for you. And the little girls need that father figure to say that they're nice girls, they're beautiful girls, you know, so I was just committed to doing that, and I'm still committed. I always be committed. I try to drive that on to my children. I be good parents, be committed to the children, always be there for them. And there'll be times when you may not want to, but be there for them because it's gonna pay off in the long run. They won't forget it.
I have this image of learning to ride a bicycle, mm-hmm. and training wheels being on the bicycle, right? And when you first start riding, the training wheels take a lot of the load, and then you get a little bit lighter and you don't have to push as hard on the training wheels, and then they come off. But just to give you the opportunity to learn to fly, it's great to have mom and dad, mm-hmm. kind of holding you up on both sides,
right?
Which is pretty incredible. As you're talking though about your passion, you also had a great career out in Oak Ridge.
Yes.
You've been heavily invested in the community, but you started a business.
Yes.
Tell me about your business.
Well, business we started in 1987.
That's a minute ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. Well, we had a little 30-year celebration last year, so we've been in business for 30 years. And it started just, that's a story that my son and I, Baffin Jr., people call him Scrap.
I know Scrap.
Yeah.
We used to ride motorcycles together.
Yeah, well, he still rides. You were smart. But anyway, yeah, we started with a borrowed lawnmower in the neighborhood, and we didn't have a lawnmower. And we borrowed from a neighbor, and we'd cut the neighbor's yard, and they let us cut our yard. So people would drive by and see us cut and say, we'll cut our yard. And So we'd go down to neighbors, cut some more yards around the neighborhood. But the thing was that a couple of guys in the neighborhood had some brushes, made some bad choices with the law enforcement, you know. Not anything really big at that time, just something minor, which a little minor incidents on a report could jeopardize you getting jobs, so to speak. So we started hiring some of the young men in the neighborhood, and we'll get a few jobs, and it was very small. We was cutting from Knoxville to Oak Ridge and mowing and doing some landscaping job as well. And as we continued on, word started getting out that we would really help some guys in the community, and we, Scrap and I, become committed to that, to helping guys, give them a second, we call it giving them a second chance. They come out being incarcerated, and it's tough for trying to find a job when you've been incarcerated. So we come out and we offer them a job, give them a job, and I'm telling you, they make some great employees from my experience.
Now, once again, we're on that theme of using your life to change somebody else's life. That's pretty incredible. Let's take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk about your faith.
Okay.
Right. This is Baffin Harper. You're watching Anything is Possible, an incredible story of possibility today. More in a moment.
Coming up,
When you can change somebody's life for the better, there's nothing more rewarding than that.
Welcome back to Anything is Possible. Baffin Harper is a Vietnam vet, a longtime worker out in Oak Ridge. You retired from Oak Ridge?
Yes.
Has a business, B&B.
Lawn Services Incorporated, yes.
And B&B is for Baffin and Baffin?
Correct, that's it, Baffin and Baffin.
He and his son.
Yeah.
And actually, they hire people that need a second chance. Talk about how the company has grown.
Well, the company has grown, let me put it beyond my expectations anyway. It's talking about my faith. My faith is something that I'd read one time, is that we should be selfless, give ourselves to other people, or anything that you want to see a change made in people. And I believe that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to turn around and help somebody else. That's what God put us on here for. He didn't put us on here just to help ourselves. He blesses you so you can bless others. And he has definitely blessed me beyond my expectations. And I hope I'm fulfilling that goal of blessing somebody else, because when you can change somebody's life for the better, there's nothing more rewarding than that. You know, I think the giver gets more out of the blessing than the receiver to me. You know, when you can give something to somebody to change their life, and you think about the people that you hire, and those little dollars they make, maybe they're buying their kids some shoes, maybe they're saving to put something back for their college education, maybe they're just making a day-to-day living. You get committed to that, and that's what gets you up every morning and gets you going. You don't quit. You don't quit. You don't even think about quit. We used to tell our kids when they go to sports, once you start, there's no quitting. There's no quitting. Not going to talk about the coach didn't do this. If you don't play, you stay with it, even if you're on the bench. But we don't quit. We don't quit. And we have established that with our children. And Octavia and I believe that you don't quit. You get started. You keep going. You may not want to go. Never quit. You could quit, probably. But I just don't even see that's possible to just quit.
You know, what's interesting is we kind of walked through your story, and we started with your Vietnam experience and working through PTSD and taking on 7 kids and building a business. I would love, as we close today, a window into your mindset. How do you keep going? What are the values that drive your life? What's your mental talk? What do you tell yourself so that you don't quit?
One, I always try to think positive. Praying every night, your faith, I wouldn't be nowhere without that right there. And having the patience to wait on God. Because he delivers. I've seen him deliver at times when you wouldn't expect it, but that keeps you going too, because you know there's somebody that's always got your back. It's 30 years how we had some ups and downs. We had some payroll times, and I could tell you stories about where the money gonna come from, and all of a sudden you get a phone call and say, hey, Mr. Harper, here's your check ready for. that faith that he's going to come through, it keeps you going. It keeps you going forward. Never, they say, you don't even think of quit. And it gives you that positive attitude. You give me two people with the same education, same background, same everything. If one got a positive attitude and one got a negative attitude, I guarantee that with the positive attitude, we're going to exceed that one every time. That positive attitude makes a big difference. I've always been a reader of positive books, like to read books that are positive, listen to positive motivators, you know, and those things keep you encouraged as well, you know, but that positive attitude, people don't realize the power of what that is.
It might be time for you to write your book.
Oh.
The Baffin Solution. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you do. I mean, positive attitude means a lot.
Well, I thank you for being here, and I thank you for being the kind of person that doesn't quit. And I wish you much success going forward. I wish you much success too as you find the tools to deal with your PTSD. And I'm really proud of the way that you've built a life that really does glorify God and just makes a great, powerful impact in our community. He's doing something pretty special in your life.
Yes, he is, and I thank you for it. And I thank you for having me here, and hopefully the story gets out and hopefully encourage somebody else.
Absolutely. You are proof that anything is possible. We'll see you next time.